John Mike from brew-stews.com. Another video tonight in the basement.
I'm glad it's climate controlled, man.
I know. It's
when
good.
We were in garage time, man.
This time of year it was sweating. And then in the winter time it was freezing.
Yeah. So
it's cold stuff.
thanks,
but
man.
now we're
in the lap of luxury.
Yeah, with all the kids' stuff in front of us. It's
dude.
fantastic. That's good. So tonight, what are we talking about? Tonight I was just thinking it might be interesting. You know, we spend a lot of time online. Everybody does, right? So
yeah.
I just thought it would be cool to talk about where are the top websites that you go to, or a social media or whatever, to get your brewing information, your homebrewing information, or where do you go to be entertained for homebrewing when you just want to see what other people are doing, and where do you go to like learn something if you're trying to figure out how to do a technique or learn about an ingredient? You know, where do you go to touch on?
Are you not
this stuff?
entertained? When it comes to homebrewing entertainment, I'll tell you. I don't know. I've liked a number of Facebook homebrewing groups. I think there's a lot going on in terms of just things being posted there that are interesting that I check out. You know, maybe I'm on the train going to work. Maybe it's in between, like it's at lunch, and I'm trying to ignore what the person next to me is saying. Sorry, if there's people I work with, they're gonna watch this and say, "He's talking about me." I totally listen to what you're saying. No, I joke about that. It's more of like downtime when you're just flipping through your feed, and there's funny stuff that gets posted there. There's interesting questions. I do love the dude, it's totally infected response to anything that goes wrong with somebody's homebrew.
Is my beer infected?
Yeah, well, yeah, no,
yeah.
Like even it's like, yeah.
It stopped bubbling.
Basically that question, it's totally like,
it's totally ruined. I always want to reply to those, it's fucked. It's fucked.
Exactly.
Quit.
Yep, forget it. You're never going to get into this hobby. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
But that's entertainment. But I know that you've asked me, like, okay, well, where do you go to research all these different hop varieties? Where do you go when you're starting to put together a recipe? I mean, I read a lot in terms of product descriptions on different homebrew sites that actually are selling supplies.
So retail sites.
Yeah, because they have to have product descriptions. That's a good place to start. But I wouldn't just. It's funny because when we started the blog, it seemed like there was one script for every single hop variety, and all the different retailers had it. Yeah. Come to find out, I think a lot of them are owned by the same parent company. But let's put that aside. In any case, you read them, and it's probably like whatever the the press kit had for the hop variety. Say that it has this descriptor. It's like dual purpose, and has resiny qualities and things like that. But then I would get deeper into it, because a lot of these hops are actually trademarked by the growers or the companies that are in charge of actually producing the hops, and they have a boatload of information that's hidden on PDFs that if you don't actually go to their site, it's kind of hidden from the web.
I think it was Hop Union used to have, or they probably still do, they had a PDF that was a huge hop book of like every variety.
So I'd read
with all kinds of cool stuff on it. Yeah.
And it would have like little nuggets that didn't make the product descriptions.
Yeah.
And then there's the Oxford Companion to Beer, which has a tremendous amount of history for different hop varieties and malts and so on. And so
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, and it's a hefty book, and I would if you want to drop $65 or something on a text just about beer. Yeah. I mean, that's a great little, well, not little, it's a great resource for anything that has to do with beer. Maybe different countries that produce beer or malts. But, the one that, the thing that I looked into, because hop varieties fascinated me, it was, to the grape to wine, it's hops to beer. It's all about, what's the parentage, where is it grown, how does that affect the taste? What are the little nuances of this variety versus that variety, especially if you know that it was bred from this noble hop with this wild variety and so on. So that fascinated me like back in 2005 when I got my first little pamphlet about home brewing. It had all these different hop varieties and like little information about them. I was like, there's got to be more than 3 sentences to describe this particular hop, and that's kind of led me down the path of researching and then saying, like, you know what, we could probably write a little website about this and share this information with others, because there's got to be people out there that have the same questions that I do, and they go and look and they're getting a little bit of information. Is there any way we could fill it out and help other people who are interested in this hobby and want to brew excellent beer? So I don't know, that's like, if I'm really interested in recipe formulation, I love just looking at other people's recipes. I love, you know, looking at, of course, Zanishov's Brewing Classic Styles is a great place to start. But then I take a look at, you know, there's lots of recipe repositories online that people just post their recipes, and I just kind of, you know, take inventory of what they're doing and see the similarities, see the how they contrast. And if they've won awards, it's, you know, it's good to see that. But it's like, it's almost like, what's the common denominators, and then what are interesting things that, you know, make sense to you that you want to try out. So without naming names, that's except for the book, and that's what I'm looking at on a regular basis when it comes to, like, just, you know, supporting the hobby through more information online.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of So I spend.
You love podcasts.
I do. I love podcasts.
You love podcasts.
I have a somewhat longish commute to work, just like everyone else in Massachusetts. But I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm a big fan of 3 or 4 shows that are on the Brewing Network. I used to be a really big fan of Brewing TV, which was more of a video production, which, you know, I didn't do that in the car. But I also like Basic Brewing Radio. Those guys are a very different flavor than the Brewing Network, but great information. They also do, to a lower frequency, they do videos. I find that entertaining. I also find it somewhat inspiring for, you know, our own blog site. I've recently found a new podcast called For Brewers. Those guys are great. It's actually pretty new to me. I went back to they've been around for about 2 years. I went back to the beginning. I'm starting to work through their material. They just kind of literally shoot the BS and talk about home brewing and stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty relaxed, but it's very entertaining. So those sources to me are like entertaining. Like, there's definitely occasionally there's some great brewing information as a home brewer that you learn and pick up, but especially on the Brewing Network, I love just listening to the interviews with the professional brewers. Yeah. Because I've really kind of been inspired by the industry side of it and what they're doing to be more sustainable, or to be more clean, or to reach a wider audience, things like that. Yeah. But then for, like, educational purposes, definitely a few blogs that I've been getting into. I love the Mad Fermentationist, right? Michael Tonsmeyer and his sour stuff. Now that we're starting to experiment more with sour beers, that's a classic one. There's Dr. Lambic has a
Dr. Lambic.
Dr. Lambic has got a blog out there, which is pretty good for sour beers and that type of stuff. Brewlosophy is the Brewlosophy.
Look at this guy.
I'm wearing
I bought the T-shirt.
I bought the T-shirt. I discovered them recently.
Nice.
They do, you know, being an experimentalist at heart. Yeah. Their whole thing is they brew beers where they split batches and do 2 variables, whether it be yeast or temperature. They're kind of trying to break down some myths or dig into myths. And then they actually do a statistical tasting and look for statistical variance, and can people pick out from triangle test differences. So it's actually really well done, really well controlled. There's a handful of contributors, so it's not just one guy. So the material is pretty fresh and it keeps coming out. So
could we contribute to that blog?
I don't know. Maybe they'll see this video and we'll have to find out. We'll find out. So anyway, those are the big sources. Of course, you know, we're not even discussing like a lot of hard print sources that I think we both dip into occasionally.
I'm certainly For the Love of Hops. I mean, that book. Yeah. By Stan.
Yeah, all the AHA brewing books are kind of in our library. Yeah. Some of the even dated books are still good stuff, like Designing Great Beers, and even you mentioned Brewing Classic Styles. Even that book is starting to show its age a little bit in terms of newer hop varieties that are out. I think people, you know, some of the, like Jamil's American Pale Ale recipe probably wouldn't stand up to what judges are looking for with the new hops that are out there. So, but it's still a great place to start for malt profiles and stuff. But those are the big ones. I mean, for me, it's mostly entertainment, and then like you might survey for recipes, or just kind of learn about ingredients. I often bump out to sites like Gambrinus or Brace or Wireman to actually look at what they're saying about their products,
absolutely.
right? What is it they're saying about their products versus being at my local homebrew shop's website and see what they say about it. They take that and distill it into like 3 sentences.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the deal. I mean, so that's the point of this video, is just kind of
chat about
Share
what we
what we
look
get
at
yeah.
and when we build out content for our
So
own site.
where do you guys go for your information? You know, let's start a dialogue in the comments. You know, tell us where you go. Do you go the same places we go? Because when we talked about this off camera, I learned of some things that I didn't even know existed, like the Oxford Companion of Beer Brewing. So
look at you, teaching you things.
Teaching things. I'm hard to learn from, but I don't learn well. I don't speak well. So
You're hard to learn.
I'm hard from that.
You take that out of context.
That's why I
we're in
listen. I
trouble.
don't read. I don't read.
That's
so,
right.
Anyway, it's all good. So that's our take on blogs and podcasts and all that stuff for now. We'll update that next time it changes, because it could change wildly. You never
Totally
know.
change.
New information.
I'm
all
gonna
the
check
time.
out these brew dudes
Yeah.
that are posting stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, check out those brew dudes.
Yeah, they seem to be all right.
They seem to have it together.
All right, for John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.
Leave a comment.